Hello and happy The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway Day. I want to show you something. This is something I got. The Lamb came out 50 years ago today. How cool is that? What was I doing 50 years ago today? I can't remember. Anyway, this is something I picked up this summer. I've always had like an older Canadian pressing of The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. And I picked up this. This is like a Japanese import. I paid $75 Canadian. Is that a good deal? I don't know. It's from one of my favorite record stores on the planet. It's this little shop in a cottage country that I discovered a couple years ago. And I also bought last summer. I bought the Wind and Wuthering Japanese import. So I was just recently picked this up, and it sounds beautiful. It sounds so good, excellent. I'm going to go downstairs and listen to it after this video. So we're talking today about the new announcement, which is the Super Deluxe. That's what's being called, the Super Deluxe edition of The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, which is being released on March 28th, 2025. So today in 2024, November 22nd, it's a lot of 20s, is the 50th anniversary. So why didn't they have the 50th anniversary ready for now? It's the holiday season. I don't understand. I don't know why. Maybe people who are in the production process were dragging their feet on decisions and mixes. Maybe they got started on it too late. I would imagine it's a big undertaking, like the decision makers, the design, what do we include, what do we not include, looking for material. I imagine if that, I mean, Concord only acquired the rights to some of this stuff at the end of 2022. So that may not have come into effect until early 2023. That doesn't leave a ton of time. I know pressing plants have hurried up recently, so the capacity is there. They could make these really quickly. You don't have to have like the 1-year wait times of post-COVID, but they're still doing like 5 or 6 discs, right? So there's still a lot to put together. And I mean, announcing it now is good, so you could pre-order it for yourself for Christmas or for a loved one. Suspiciously, we don't see a lot of what this is. There's some things we know. There's the vinyl, there's the Blu-ray, there's the download code for extra bonus songs, like 2. There is the live album, and then there's a 60-page coffee table style book, which is cool. That's really cool. Does that mean it's a hardcover? Or I don't know. Here's what I find a little suspicious, and I'm a little bit curious about. So if we look at the picture, it's very clear that it's a box. And it's probably, I would say, 90% chance that it's a lift lid box, like where you pull the lid off and then the box holds everything else, which I'm not a huge fan of. It begs the question of like, what does it look like on the inside? So we're talking about the vinyl here. The CD might follow more of it probably follows similar to what they did with the BBC box set, kind of that vertical box. I don't think we have a showing of that CD, although in theory, you could also do just a square version of the CD. I would imagine the CD doesn't come with the coffee table book, right? I don't know. So let's look at the 5 LP version. 5 LP comes with Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, remastered from the original 1974 tape. So it's not a new mix, and it's not a new mix in any sense. It's the original tapes. That's really cool. Lamb Lies Down live at the Shrine Auditorium from 1975 with 2 encore tracks, Watcher of the Skies and the musical box. I thought it was it. Anyway, so the live show is 3 LPs. The album is 2 LPs. That's pretty cool. The live show's 3. That interests me. If they release that as a standalone, I would buy that. That to me would be really interesting. It's just a nice standalone 3-disc box from the Shrine. Maybe they will one day. The Blu-ray is not for me. I don't do that. But I know people are interested in that. That's kind of cool. That's just for the album though, right? We don't have Atmos and Blu-ray for the concert. That makes sense. Select demos and outtakes. That's on a digital download card. Okay, so yeah, in the coffee table book, let's just look at real quick what about the 4 CD and Blu-ray version. So 4 CD gives you 2 CDs of the album, 2 CDs of the concert, a Blu-ray audio disc with Dolby Atmos and high-res mixes of the album with some other select visual images. Oh, and you still get a coffee table style book. Okay, that's interesting. So what I find interesting here is that we don't see a picture of the box, and like how we see a picture of the cover, which looks cool. The purple's cool, but like, how is this all being presented? And so if you order the CDs, is a coffee table book coming separate? So I have 2 theories. This is probably my most likely theory. It's like this box here, which I really dislike. So imagine, so what happens with this box is you lift the lid And so that's a cardboard lid, cardboard box. They have like nicer versions of this, and it probably will be deeper. But the biggest issue is with this, and there is like a glossy book that's actually downstairs. I'm not including this, but you have the 5 records, 180 grams on black records that are in these black paper sleeves. This to me was like, it's not a great way to listen to music. Like, it's not like an enjoyable process because I'm always like, which disc is what? And there was another box set by another artist. A lot of different artists have used this type of thing. You can print all over it. You can have like multiple spines. Like for that reason, it's kind of cool. But like as your like listening experience, I mean, you're going to have to, because from what I understand, some of these come with a poster and replica stickers as well. So I'm guessing you're going to lift the lid off. You're going to take out the stickers and the poster and the book, and you're going to dig for the album that and the download card, and you're going to dig from the album that you want to listen to. My big fear is, will they put those 5 discs in just like paper sleeves like this, or will they give them a little bit of a nicer treatment? Second option, it's not a box, and instead it's a box like this, where one side of it's open and all the records are in. This is the both sides new box set that came out just a couple months ago. In this, you have the full-length album, double disc. Then you have, this is a single sleeve of the demos, but it's a printed sleeve. And even, look at this. This is like big money here. Another printed sleeve in this. So this is like, technically, it's a jacket with a printed sleeve. We have another one of some live stuff. And again, this is all black vinyl, 180 grams. Another printed sleeve inside of another jacket. Then you have more live stuff. And then you have this book. Will this be the coffee table style book, or will it be hardcover? I mean, if you're saying coffee table style, to me, that means hardcover. So I'm curious, because they didn't show a breakout of all of this. I'm curious as to really what you're getting when it comes to the box. And I would be very slow to pre-order this without kind of seeing what the experience is going to be like. Now, some of you might be like, well, isn't it just about the music? I guess, but I mean, we all have the Lamb in various different forms. So it's not really about the music. It's about this like celebratory package. It's about leaving it out on the coffee table. I'm not saying a box would be a problem. I'm just hoping that they do it really well. I think the price point is like anywhere between, I think it's like, well, let's for the vinyl, right? I think we are 268 Canadian. So that would be like probably $199 American, I think. And it's all over the place. I know some people got it on Amazon for really dirt cheap. I think on Amazon, showing the Blu-ray version on Amazon.com for $119. Vinyl is $199 on Amazon. Okay. When it comes to like what's included, I think everybody always gripes with what's included. I think it's a real shame that it's very rare that we have somebody dig in the closet of the farm and pull out some, I mean, it wouldn't be, well, who knows where it is, but like pull out some really weird stuff. I mean, imagine like an entire 2 sides of a record where it's like, assuming during some of the recording process, they just pressed record and jammed out. We know that's what they did like on the Shapes album, that they just jammed for a really long time. And then a couple hours later, they picked out pieces that they liked and they created Home by the Sea. I would love to have that. You know what I mean? That's something I would really love to listen to. So did they press record during the Lamb sessions and just have the band jam out while Peter was in a different room writing the lyrics? Include that. I mean, press that to 6 vinyl. That would be really interesting. I don't really have a problem with this. I'm not a huge Lamb fan. I really cherish my Japanese import, so I don't really feel like I need to get that record. I do want to bring up this one thing that I think is kind of like trumping all of these future releases, and that is the Analog Productions acoustic sound series that came out last year, and that's sort of like hit a roadblock. For some reason, I've been wanting to pick up the self-titled record and maybe Trick of the Tail and perhaps Abacab, and it's kind of stalled. Like there was a lot of fanfare when Face Value and Hello I Must Be Going came out, and then the Lamb, which was a 4-disc, and then Selling England, which I bought and I love. I feel like that whole series is taking some of the wind out of this sales here, because yes, we get the live show, but when it comes to like a really nice sounding version of the Lamb, we have already acoustic sounds who have taken, I believe, the original tapes and remastered for 45 RPM and spread the lamb over 4 discs. It's very expensive. It's probably the same price as this. It has, I think, a tip-on sleeve. It's a very, very deluxe package. But I mean, anybody who bought that 6 months ago, are you going to go ahead and buy this again? I find like that whole process, like I love the Analog Productions acoustic sound series. I think they did a fantastic job with my copy of Selling England, and I'd like to get more. But I feel like it cannibalizes what Concord and what Genesis are doing with this release and potentially future releases. That's just my opinion. I'm curious what you think. I want to say some positive things, and then I want to say some negative things. First of all, as with when I talked about the Both Sides box set, when I talked about the BBC box set, which I had huge problems with, I will just say I'm very grateful that they're releasing things. So even though I'm critical sometimes on this channel, I'm critical because I'm a huge fan, and I'm a huge fan of vinyl and collecting. So just a caveat that like I am critical, but I'm also very grateful that they're doing things, that they're releasing things, that there's activity happening, that the social media channels on Phil and on Genesis social media channels are they're making stuff. They're continuing to push the brand just in the same way we are here on the channel, continuing to celebrate the music. In fact, when they did the Both Sides thing, they did this like 4K touch up of Both Sides era videos and posted them on YouTube, like the music videos and the live performances in 4K. It looks really nice. Like they did a good job. And even though like nobody was really asking for like a 4K version of the Both Sides music video, I'm grateful they did it. And I hope they do more of it. There's tons that they could do. And I feel like that's the point of buying this catalog, is that they're going to now bring it into future generations and to continue to keep it alive, which I think we can trust that they'll do that. Will they do it exactly how we want them to do? No, not necessarily. So any of my negativity here is not hate. It's just out of love, really. It's out of passion for the music. One of the things I'm very excited about, and I think a lot of people have kind of overlooked it with this, is the Dolby Atmos coming to digital. So the Dolby Atmos or Apple, what does Apple call it on their AirPods? I forget now. Whatever. Spatial audio. Thank you. That has kind of like cooled down a little bit. In fact, I listen to music on Apple Music sometimes, and I don't realize that it's Dolby Atmos. And then I look at it and go, oh, this has been remixed for Dolby Atmos. We talked about it with Dave Kersner a couple years ago on this channel, and it doesn't seem like people are investing in it as much as Apple had wanted them to be. Apple had said they were going to pay a higher royalty, but then your entire catalog has to be something like 80% Dolby Atmos in order to qualify for this higher royalty, and blah, blah, blah. So to get the lamb in Dolby Atmos is interesting. Now, how is it Dolby Atmos if like they didn't open up the mixes? Did they open up the mixes? And I mean, they say that Peter's involved. And we know that there's Dolby Atmos of I/O, so they know how to do it at Real World, I'm sure, somewhere. But I'd be very curious when this comes out on Apple Music. Put our AirPod Pros in, and we'll listen, or you play them on your surround sound system. And are there things moving around in the stereo field? That would be interesting to hear. But it's cool because, you know, there's stuff like Abacab and Invisible Touch that could sound really cool on Dolby Atmos. Somebody needs to, Face Value would be a great record to put on Dolby Atmos. So they haven't done that. Will they do that? Hopefully, eventually. But this is a step in the right direction. The other cool thing we've heard is that Peter and Tony were involved in this. And I think there's a lot of people who are kind of horny at the idea of Peter and Tony together at Real World, listening to mixes and working on Genesis stuff. There's rumors that there's some overdubbing. I just really can't imagine that they overdubbed, you know, that Peter would re-sing something 50 years later and that get away with it. I don't know. I don't know what they've done. The verdict will come out when people listen to this. You know, the thing is that we're hearing these marginal differences. Everybody has a great, you know, version of the Lamb that they love, whether it's the original or it's, you know, a pressing later, or it's the 2007 version, or there's the Abbey Road half speed, I think, is out there. And then, of course, analog reproductions. Everyone said that's the new norm. So what will people say about this? Are they just like little lateral moves? I don't think that's enough for me to spend $200. But it's fun. I mean, it's fun to talk about this. It's very interesting. The Lamb isn't my album. You know what I mean? I think if they were to do this for the Selling England and include like a remastered version of something from that tour, I have a lot of bootlegs from the Selling England tour. To get a bootleg of that, or like an official bootleg with, you know, Peter's stories in between the songs, I think would be really special. And to have that remastered and pressed officially, that could be really cool. So I would gravitate more to a box like this, but for Selling England. I'm going to do a video in a couple weeks about Genesis vinyl and releases that I think that they're going to be doing. But it really does kind of, you know, if they did the 40th anniversary, or what was it, 30 for both sides, 30 for both sides, they did a couple weeks ago. And now they're doing 50th for the Lamb. I think we're due for No Jacket Required, a box set like the Both Sides box set for No Jacket Required sometime next year, potentially. Invisible Touch came out in 86, so that'll be the 40th anniversary in 2 years from now. So, you know, if they have their crap together, then they can potentially, by this time next year for the Christmas season, start selling a 40th anniversary box set of Invisible Touch if they want to. Same with Trick of the Tail will be 50 in next year, or 2 years from now. I mean, the Lamb is a classic album. It's iconic, but I think they would, if they gave a treatment like this to Trick of the Tail, I think it would do as well as the Lamb, potentially as well as the Lamb. So we'll see. If this was a big undertaking with Peter that they don't want to do again, the Both Sides box set was easier for them to pull off because all of the material, essentially all of the material, was previously available on the 2016 Take a Look at Me Now digital reissues of Phil's albums. So for No Jacket Required, it would be very simple just to take all of those again. I'm suggesting they do that, but with the No Ticket Required show, the Dallas show from the No Jacket Required tour. I mean, look, Trick of the Tail, that's a great one to do because you take the original album. They also have an album of outtakes, right? There's a great B-side that my buddy George sent me. It's a B-sides album where they're kind of working through some of the songs. And I know a lot of you folks have that bootleg out there. For them to reissue that would be unbelievable. And then there's a lot of great tours from when Phil took over on the vocals that you could do. So a Trick of the Tail box set would be very easy to do following this format. We shall see. We shall see. The big question is, what does Concord own? I was reading a press release today from 2022. You know, there's questions of whether Concord only owns After Steve. So maybe And Then There Were Three and Beyond. However, it sounds to me like they own everything, with perhaps the exception of From Genesis to Revelation, although that has been reacquired, I believe. It sounds to me like they do own everything, but they don't own Steve and Peter's rights to the early albums. So what that means that if they do a box set like this, they own the Mike and Tony and Phil's portion of it, but they still would have to pay a royalty or perhaps even get permission to do this with Peter. Maybe that's why Peter was involved. So the same thing would potentially be true with Trick of the Tail or Selling England, or Trick of the Tail. They would maybe have to incorporate Steve or perhaps just pay him. I'm not sure the particulars. We probably won't find out. It'd be nice if somebody asked Steve. A lot of this is like personal information. The press releases don't go very deep. But the fact of the matter is that we are seeing this reissue happen. So we're seeing newer reissues like Both Sides. And we're seeing, anyway, I've talked too long. Let me know. Have you guys pre-ordered this? I will not pre-order it right now. I will wait for Craft Recordings or whoever to send me a promotional copy. But let me know if you have pre-ordered this, if you're looking forward to it. If you're disappointed in it, then let me know why. And what do you think? Like, what's your hope for a future box set like this from Genesis?